Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey. We're back again for part 2 of the recap of HomeDadCon. Danny's got a big smile on his face. He's ready for this part with some coffee. Yeah. Ooh, that's a Freedom Center mug from Cincinnati, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buddy. There you go.
We got it. Got actually 2 of them because they're really good mugs. Just, they're really well-made mugs too. And I got 2, brought them home, and I told Marnie, here, this one's yours. You do whatever monstrous thing you want to do with it, microwave your tea, whatever. This one's mine. It'll be in this area. You're not allowed to use it. Because I have had some amazing mugs, 2 of my favorite mugs of all time. And I'm honestly, Marnie doesn't listen to the show. She really doesn't. So I'm expecting she won't hear this, although she has heard in the past. I had a Smithsonian mug the only time I've been there, and it was amazing. Big, giant, yellow one, and had the Smithsonian logo and everything. And then I also had another one which was handmade at the Ren Fest and didn't have a logo or anything on it. It was just a really cool swirl color and the way it was made. And she's broken both of them over the years. And I'm like,
goodness.
Look, I love you, but you keep breaking my stuff, and I'm gonna have to do. So I'm like, well, I'll give you this one. And I came home from Milwaukee. And the camera will pick it up. You see that little white spot on it right there on the handle?
I do see that little white
That's
spot.
a crack. While I was gone, somebody dropped my coffee mug and no one's owned up to it. And I'm like, guys. And honestly,
I'm a little disappointed. Like, the person who fixed that didn't use a Sharpie and at least try to
that's covered up anything.
Perfect,
that's an obvious.
That's a perfect flat black matte Sharpie fixer upper right there.
I wouldn't even noticed. What I'm really hoping, honestly, because this would be way funnier in the long run, is that Marnie dropped and broke hers, and that she put it back in the kitchen, and I just happened to pick it up, and that's that's her mug actually that I'm drinking coffee out of. And she's gonna be, where's my mug? And I'm like, oh, is this the broken one's yours? She goes, oh yeah, I broke it. And I'll just be like, okay, 1, completely vindicated. I bought you your own mug because I knew you'd break mine. And 2, I don't have a broken mug. Yay!
This is going to start Muggate 2023 right here. We're going to have updates from now on a weekly basis. So we find out who the culprit is or what happened.
I'm just going to put them all out on the lawn.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Tell the kids it looks pretty muggy out there.
Oh, yes. Well done. Well done. Yeah, well, the whole mug thing reminds me of when I worked at I worked in a factory, and the manager he had a specific mug. And then I worked, it was when I did maintenance in college, the guy who ran maintenance, you'd walk into the kitchen and there was a specific mug. And I remember one time somebody cleaned the living crap out of this mug, and he comes walking in and he's like, "Who cleaned my mug?" Mm-hmm. We're like, right. What? He lost it.
Yeah. I have to clean mine every once in a while, but there are people that say, no, you shouldn't, because the coffee flavor keeps going. You just wash it out. You don't put soap in it. And I'm like, I can do it for a week maybe, but I'm going to have to soap that thing out.
Well, he would rinse his out. He would rinse his out, but not I'm talking full on scrub it down. No. And he could tell somebody had gone and scrubbed this thing down grandma's cast iron pan. Who unseasoned my pan? Oh, that is a death wish waiting to happen right there. So Well, that's cool, man. I didn't realize that you had those are nice mugs. Actually, that whole place is a really cool place to tour. Most people don't even know it even exists half the time.
We can't. It was too much for me. I couldn't make it all the way through. It was so emotional. There was so much going on in there. It was very heavy. And I got 3/4 of the way, and then I got around to where I was seeing Confederate flags from the Civil War things, and they needed to be there. There was a reason, and it fit right into where it was. But I really hated seeing them because there's just nothing positive, in my opinion, of what the South did during that time. And and what we've done to just generations of people simply because of the color of their skin. And I just got too overwhelmed. I had to leave, but it is poignant and amazing. And I'm going to take my kids there, and I want, everyone should go there and see it. But yeah, it overwhelmed me. It was just so hard, so heavy, like you said.
I think that's part of what they expect, honestly, when people go through it. Same thing like the Holocaust Museum, you same kind of, you're gonna get hit right in all the feels for it. Yep. So yeah, well,
turn the corner.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to turn the page a little bit.
Straight turn the corner.
That was a good conversation about your coffee mug. Let's talk about HomeDadCon here.
What we're here for.
Yeah. So, well, at HomeDadCon, they had a coffee exchange. I wasn't involved in it, but it was really fun to see guys walking around handing out baggies of coffee, like a bunch of drug dealers at breakfast time. It was hilarious. Yeah. And then to see them talking about it actually in Discord's been fun too. But yeah. I you know what? I just want to address this too. I hope anybody right now that's battling, possibly catching COVID, because that did happen. And I honestly too, like, that's something that's sort of just popping up at a lot of places because it's just it's a season. We're on the cusp too of like another vaccine coming out to sort of combat things. And I think this is going to be like, pretty much an ongoing thing, as you hear medical talk about it all the time, that they're working to get a grasp on it, but it's kind of like the flu or a cough. Like, we're just all going to have to be more diligent about taking care of ourselves. But I know there's been a few guys that have reported that they've tested positive, nothing serious. Just, they tested positive. And so, hopefully everybody recovers quick. Nobody else in the family catches it, that kind of thing. But just wanted to address that, just so that we weren't like trying to sweep anything under the rug on it. So, but yeah, just that's I think that's just sort of like coming to be like almost a casualty of being around a lot of people, especially from all over the country. Yeah. So
I want to say too that I do not have COVID. I tested negative. I'm going to test again today, but got no symptoms. I was away from my house for a week and came home, and we have 2 cats. And whenever I leave, everything's great. I can breathe again. And then I get home and I immediately go, did you guys clean the cat? Have anybody vacuumed this month? Oh my God. So it's, for me, it's all coming back into those cat allergies. But I want to also to state that, because so people understand that I'm not sick, really. I don't have COVID. And just to clarify, in case someone hears me.
Yeah, I have no symptoms. My wife tested last night just because she was a little bit concerned for herself, and she came back negative, but she had COVID like 3 weeks ago anyway. So I would have been really surprised if she would have tested positive. That would have put me probably more on edge, but yeah, we're good on this side here too. So
cool.
Yeah, so we got that out of there. Hey, so we stopped previous episode right coming into Friday, which I think is actually was really good, because that was the first day of programming, and we kicked that day off with you, Danny, getting up in front and trying to make us cry because of self-care. But no, you brought in and talked about a great topic, not feeling guilty about self-care, which I think that is I would put that up as one of probably the top 3 conversations that happens on this podcast on a regular basis, and also is probably one of the top 3 things that gets talked about just in general in our community. And so for you to be able to come in and bring even more light to it, and also just have a great talk, to open up the convention with, I was super excited to be there. You were very, just very organized. It went really well. I enjoyed it. Good, I will say the one, I'm just going to say this to get it out of the air. I still it was rough at the end, because I realized that the camera that I had to record screwed up, and that, but we are going to, for anybody that heard that or whatever, there is going to be a recording made of it. We'll get that out there. It just won't be what was
won't be in front of an audience, and
it won't be in front of an audience, but we will get it out there. So, but I wanted to. That happens. We're volunteers. Technical things take place, especially when your coffee hasn't kicked in all the way. I guess that's the only thing I can come up with.
I think if for our organization, for any of the speakers we had as keynotes, for us to miss their recording, mine was the best one. If it had to happen, I think not because mine wasn't important or mine wasn't good, but because I'm a member of the organization and I love to talk. So it's easy to get a recording, and we can put it on our websites for our members to listen to. The original, I think, was really well placed. I spoke to 15 times in the days before that when I was talking to a dad, or dads were talking around me, and our members were talking. I'm like, I just want to pull out my presentation right now and just answer exactly what you're saying, because yes, exactly. You do need to take care of yourself. And no, you do not need to feel guilty about it. Self-care is not selfish.
Right.
And the message behind that, which I say it all the time, self-care is best care, but to try to find a way to get past that guilt has always seemed to be something that people struggle with. And I really like that it was the opening keynote. I wasn't planning on doing an opening keynote. I just wanted to do a keynote presentation. I want to do more public speaking, and I'm evolving that part of my life. And I wasn't asked. I was told you're scheduled on the opening keynote, and it was a moment of, oh, hey, okay, that's great. I have a bone in my leg. I can't do it anymore. It was a little bit of pressure, right? But Matt Strain actually said it. He said, looking at it, I can't think of a better thing to start out the conversation for the whole weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Self-care without the guilt.
Yeah.
And it really, and again, it's my presentation, so I'm not going to harp on it or promote it too much, but it really felt like it hit the spot that we all needed to hear.
I would agree. I think that too, like we were talking about on the previous episode, where we had the first timers meeting and just the presentation there of being like, hey, you don't have to ask anybody, what do you do? And we're here all for the same reasons, that kind of thing. And then to bring in Friday morning a presentation on self-care and not feeling guilty about it, it ran really well together and also set the tone. Honestly, I think that we talk about too all the time, like, hey, you don't have to go to every single session, and you shouldn't feel guilty for missing a session to go take a nap or a walk or whatever it is. And so your presentation hit it right on the head. And I think for a lot of guys, it probably just brought that extra added little bit of just like, weight is lifted. Like, okay, like I get it. Like, especially for anybody who maybe is new to hearing that conversation, to be like, oh, like they're serious about this. Like, this is for real.
We need it so much more when we're new to this. When you start out as a parent, most especially an at-home parent, when you're fully involved in your kid all day, every day, you need self-care more than any other time, probably, as a parent, because as you learn what you're doing, like now I can change a diaper. I would still look, but I could do it without looking. Right. I mean, just blah, 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 blah. Here you go. Baby's clean. Let's go. It's not, I could swaddle a baby. I would take nothing. Right. All of those things I've done so many times, I'm comfortable doing. And I can get away with not really taking that self-care that I might need. But when you start out, man, you have got to focus. You've got to look at what you need and what you're giving out. You really do, because I mean, I've said it 100 times. The best word I can think of to describe parenting is relentless. It just doesn't stop.
I mean, so like you've said before, like you've said before, when you run into people and they're like, oh, when do you get off of work? It's like, that's a really fun question. Never. It's all day, every day, buddy.
September, October, I get a couple days off.
when is HomeDadCon? That's when I get my day off. That's my day off. That's my time. So,
well, I was happy to do it, and I'm looking forward to actually doing another keynote in St. Louis in 2024. We'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you had that, and then I think what was great also this year was built in like just like the extra like 15 minutes to just sort of kind of reflect and take some time to just be like, all right, like can just kind of chill out. I don't have to run to the next thing. So that was huge. I love the fact that got built in this year. And so then we had the first breakout session. the breakout sessions were Jeremy Haston talking about things we are scared to share. Arvis and Phil shared about the importance of the Dad Lounge, and Mark Long was talking about household finances. I actually didn't make it to any of these. I was busy taking care of trying to figure out the AV situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was bound determined to figure out what the heck was going on and why. But I heard good things from all of them. Did you go to one of those?
I was originally going to go to Mark Longbreak's on household finance. I actually was supposed to record it, but it took a lot out of me to do the presentation. It was and I had anxiety attacks the whole week. So I got up there and one of the other board members was recording it already. So I went and sat in on Jeremy Haston's presentation and talking about miscarriage and grief and how we talk about it. And I want to say that the really cool thing is all of these we have had on the podcast, and they've had their full time to talk about themselves and their presentation. And I encourage anybody to go back and find these 3 subjects. All 3 were just very, very good to have on. But for me, my wife and I did lose a child many, many years ago, and it doesn't affect me every day or regularly like it does a lot of people, because I'm busy and I've got other kids and my kids are older now, and it's just been a long time and I've settled into it. But when I think about it, I still grieve. It's still there. And I thought of those 3, I wanted to be there for Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy's my little brother. I love everybody, but my love for him is very, very personal. And I wanted him to be able to look out in the audience and find a face that he knew understood where he is, understand where he's been, and to support him in that. And honestly, I think everybody in the room did that. It wasn't just me, but I kind of wanted to be there for him. And I felt like it was something that I needed to look at to see how I was grieving still about that lost child, how it was affecting me, and had I processed it, and did I have more to process? So it was fantastic.
That's great.
It was sad, and we cried a lot, and it was what you'd think of it would be for a conversation about miscarriage.
Yeah.
But
I stopped in right before Arvis and Phil started their talk, and like they seemed very excited for it. Actually, they did something that I didn't realize they were going to do, and they didn't say this when we talked to them, but they basically opened up the Dad Lounge to kind of give everybody like an opportunity to see what it was that was showing up to it, and also too for any of the guys who just had some time to be able to jump in maybe for a few minutes and say hi to the guys at the convention.
Cool.
So that was a really cool element for them to do it, because I feel like that really brings like the tangible into the whole thing. So and you always talk about Jeremy being your little brother. Arvis, for as big as he is, always calls me his big brother, which I like always cracks me up every time, because I'm always like, I need to go check my height really quick. Did something happen? Did I grow?
I come up to your belly button. How am I your big brother?
Exactly. So, but maybe that's just his way of calling me old. I'm not sure what.
No,
no, I know that's not it.
No.
But anyway, so those other 2 I heard went really well. I'm looking forward to hearing those when they get put up on recording later.
And that was the decision. That was why I made my decision, because I wanted to hear Mark Longbreak again, because I've enjoyed talking with him over the years, and I know he has a lot that he can teach me. And I thought, I'm going to hear that. I'm going to hear it again. And same with the Dad Lounge. I'm going to hear it again once we get the videos processed and edited and put up on the website. I'll have plenty of time to sit and listen to them. So,
which also too
happy for that.
Keith Nagel reached out to me and was like, what would it take to just basically throw those up as audio files too for guys to just listen to like on the podcast. And so I don't know if he's doing that or what's going on, but that's being looked into as well, which is great, because sometimes you don't have the time to just sit and watch a YouTube, and so to be able to just throw it in your ears and go.
Members only podcast going,
something like that.
I think it'd be cool, because we really want to maintain that exclusiveness of going to the convention or being a member, of course. But that would be, I think you could do that. I mean, I'm not going to volunteer you for it. I'm not saying that, but I think you would have the ability to do that pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then just brand it and give it to our members. So that's a good idea, Keith. Good job.
I know that was a good one. So hopefully
And
that
the
gets
right
figured
person
out.
to ask to get it done too.
I feel like I talked a lot about podcasting over the weekend from people. It was fun though. It was fun. I enjoy that. That's probably one of my favorite things when I get like basically consulted about that.
I had a guy come up to me and he's standing there while I'm talking to somebody else. I'm not going to name names, of course. And he says, "You're Danny Mercer." And I went, "I am. Hi, I'm Danny. What's your name?" Right. And I'm like, okay, it just happens. And maybe you heard my presentation. I don't know. And he's like, I heard you on the podcast. I'm like, "Oh, cool. All right, nice." I said, this is I'm glad you're listening and all that. This is where Brock is. If you want to go talk to him. And he, we get done with the conversation and he starts to leave and I'm listening to the other guy again. And he goes around the corner and looks at somebody and I didn't see who it was. He goes, "I just talked to Danny Mercer."
Oh, I love it. You're like, and they're like, "Yeah, so."
Right. It's like, yeah, I couldn't get him to stop talking.
That's funny.
We were in the bathroom and he wouldn't shut up. So it was just
what
funny.
though?
It was so
That
touching.
happened.
It was so sweet. It was
ever
so sweet.
since we started this podcast. We get guys. I mean, like even Mick and Shannon we're getting guys coming up and saying stuff like that to them, And so
I'm sure
it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I feel like they've kind of in some ways like made us this celebrity that we're not pushing to be in any kind of way. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, like for me, I'm always like, I'm so glad you listen to the show and I'm so glad you enjoy it. Like that is by far like one of the main reasons for us doing it is just for your enjoyment. So if you're getting something out of it, like great, then it's hitting where it needs to. So
exactly.
So once those breakouts ended, we had another break for just a few moments, and then Jeffrey Bernstein got up and just swung for the fences on his presentation, and it was so good. Like last year, he rocked it with having the breakout, painting your nails. But for this year to go into exploring gender inclusivity and just all of the different, like, I mean, I feel like there's so many different facets to it. And he definitely presented a lot, but it's one of those where it's like, this is probably like a 4 episode series type of thing. Like there's so many like things that could break out of it, but it's a good way to just sort of like send you in the right direction, have great conversations. I'd say for me, one of the things that stuck out was near the end, he was talking about the organization, like getting involved with other organizations. And he pointed out the organization for, I forget what it was exactly, but it was like a group of people that were trying to adopt. And they have a whole like convention about it, which actually takes place this weekend in New York, sorry, not this weekend. It was a September 30th through October 1st in New York. And his challenge to us, and I think this is a great idea, is that somebody from the org should be there with a booth representing the fact that we're here to, welcome parents like that into the organization. And just, it's probably it was probably a little too soon to even send anybody this year, but being the fact that it's now like on the radar, getting that set up for next year would be awesome to have some representation there to be able to just, show our support, show our organization, and see where things go. So, but yeah, he did really well. I'm sure that there's a lot. You look like you're ready to go and talk about this one for a bit.
I just wanted to say, because we do have a lot to cover and I've already talked too much and taken us off track, but I want to say it's the organization is Men Having Babies.
That's what it was.
Their website is menhavingbabies.org and it's amazing. And if I had any way to if I wasn't going to Germany in a couple of days, I would definitely find a way to make it to this. And I think it is something that we're going to put on for us to look at being there and offering whatever support we can. And I think that's something too that a lot of people may not realize that we're trying to do, is that the organization is looking to take what we have, our signal as it were, and partner with other organizations and to boost their signal, similar organizations in fatherhood and things like that. And we've talked about Equimundo before, and fathering together, and dads with daughters, and all of those other organizations that we've looked at. And this is one I think we're going to, again, just to tell them, hey, we're a nonprofit. We can help you financially.
Right.
But how can we help you? What can we do for you and with you? And I think being at their conference would be amazing.
Well, I think too, like
Jeffrey said,
like when you have groups like Fathering Together, Father's Eve, City Dads, that kind of stuff, where they come alongside and they're like, hey, we don't really have money to give you, but I will give you my platform to be able to promote what you're doing, kind of thing. And I think that there's a lot to be said by being able to share platforms like that. So yeah, I like a media basically sponsor is what it comes down to. And so hopefully, we'll be able to get in contact with them and make that happen for next year for sure. And and who knows what else they got going on. But yeah, I could see that definitely taking off with the group. So Jeffrey did an awesome job. I think
love you, Jeffrey.
He really like touched a lot of people. I remember hearing him talk about the fact that there were quite a few dads there who came up to him afterwards and had just different things to talk to him about. And just I think that he was very touched by the conversations afterwards as well. You could see him; he was pretty well lit up with excitement from it. So I'm glad that he came in and did that, and hopefully that spurs on more questions and conversations throughout the year. So once Jeffrey was done, had another quick break, had lunch. Lunch was delicious. That was good. Matt Strain, of course, knocks it out of the park with the menu and keeping us well fed. So had some good food there. And then Chris Gaffney came in, and Chris spoke about appreciation with poetry and whimsy of at-home dads. And of course, as always, had us chuckling, and he's such a great storyteller. And so it was just nice it was a great like middle of the day keynote where it wasn't anything heavy, and it was entertaining and fun. So I just like the fact that he was there, and also too, like, he stepped up. We had some, like I said, we had technical issues with some different things because Macs and PCs, they don't play nice together. And he came in and just happened to have the right tool that we needed to make our lives a whole lot easier, and was happy to let us borrow the like Apple dongle that he had, and that was huge, honestly, because he didn't have to do that. But I feel like he's really kind of just stepped into this, like, I'm not just a speaker, I'm also a member, like kind of deal. And that's great. Like, I really appreciate that from him.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So second breakout sessions come in for the for the afternoon, and we've got Nelson Rascon and Joe Saladino presenting on your power as an advocate. There was a mental health breakout session with you and Lorne, and animal husbandry, how to raise birds, how raising birds can help raise your children, with Mick Fryermuth and Phil Fry. And I went to that one.
Yeah,
I said I was going to go to it. And so I recorded that one, and it was super entertaining. Had a lot of great information, honestly. And of course, Mick is a big talker, so he took the very majority of the conversation, and talked about life with chickens and how that all took place and things. And it was fun because he did the side-by-side test with the farm fresh versus store-bought. And you can tell you can definitely tell. Like, I mean, it was obvious, like he made eggs for everybody while Phil was talking, and was passing them out. And at the end was like, all right, like, which side was the farm fresh egg, and everybody was like the left. Like there was absolutely no questioning. It was the left. You could just tell color, flavor, like every bit of it. And there was, he didn't salt and pepper the eggs or anything, and they were delicious. So so that went really well. And Phil talking about pigeons was awesome. He showed some really cool videos of different pigeons, like how they maneuver and how they do different things with them. And then he brought these little pigeon wind up toys for people to take with them. And I actually grabbed one of those up because I thought they were so cute. And of course,
that's awesome.
I was like, my kids are gonna love this. And so because they love like the books about, don't give a pigeon a hot dog, and don't let the pigeon drive the school bus, or that kind of stuff. And so yeah, that was a lot of fun. But no, they just had so much interesting information. I mean, honestly, like what they presented made it to where, like, if you went back to your family and said, all right, we're going to do chickens, or hey, what do you think about pigeons? Like, they provided enough information to really set the stage for a good conversation to bring that into your family.
Cool. That's great. And it sounded like they would, when they're being again, they were on the podcast too, and just their knowledge, but also their passion.
Yeah.
Their understanding of this isn't just something we just wrote down some words and hope we can support it. It's really, truly how you're raising your kids and how having animals around helps that. And they talked about it on the podcast. So I'm not going to belabor their points already, but I knew they'd do well.
Yeah, no, it went really well. Sounded like Joe and Nelson's presentation went well. I wasn't in on that. Actually, it was interesting. I talked with a dad. He was like, yeah, I didn't really know what to go to. And he's like, I just kind of ended up in there. My kid's very small. And I was like, well, I don't know. Might as well kind of be proactive and at least hear what it is. And he was a former teacher. So he said it was very interesting to hear the other side of the table talk about it. And that's great. Like how wonderful for somebody who, they're working with the kids to now be like, all right, now I'm on the other side of the table and get equipped for that, whether their kid be in that situation, or maybe they have another dad close by that's like, I just don't know what to do. So that was, like I said, I heard that was great. How was the mental health breakout? Was that well attended for the first one? I feel like they always are, but
yeah, they always are.
Good.
Of course, we don't talk a lot about it.
Nope, I know.
I do want to say, I mean, it is a safe space, and so we don't talk about who is there or anything like that. And that is what it is. I will say I do appreciate that Mike Trink was there. He's been on the show before and was willing to sit in because he is a licensed mental health counselor, and just having somebody there that, just in case there's a crisis, just in case there is something that we need to immediately speak to, and also to give definitions of things and explanations of things that really only someone with that education would know. So I sent him an email already and told him thank you, but I just wanted to say it again. He, of course, is willing to say that he was there, for obvious reasons. But he's probably the only person that I would say, would admit that was there, because he is there to help us.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciated that.
No, that's great. Definitely. So we had our final keynote for Friday after all that. Noelle Chesley, who's a PhD and MPA, talking about expanding care and the benefits of families of men in a caring role. I had blocked this hour out for me to take a breather for the day.
Good for you.
Yeah. And so I actually went up and hung out with Shannon and Mick, and I've been trying to make that ever since Cincinnati, to make that something that I do every time, is just block out an hour to go hang out with them, because it's nice to be able to hang out with another podcaster and talk shop and just everything else, but two, it's just great to connect with those guys. They just understand the busyness of things. So that's where I was for that entire hour, but I heard that it was good. Did you sit in on this one?
Yeah, it was really good. We talk a lot of times about this being career development. And a lot of times when people have, in the past, like, oh, HomeDadCon, what's that? Is it beer and stag films, as we used to call them? Is it beer and porn? Do we go to the strip club? No. Sure, there's beer. It's an appreciation of beer in the way it's manufactured. It's not, let's drink as much beer as we can to get drunk.
Right.
And I'll say this too. I don't think I met anybody the entire week who'd gotten drunk.
No.
I'm sure somebody did. It must have happened, but out of 100 people, I never saw them, and I'm pretty active. I'm in most of the places most of the time. But the reality of it being a career development conference and an opportunity to learn more about your value. And the easiest way, I think, and the best way that we've done it, and we did it in the past, and we've had doctors, people with their PhD previously come in and talk about this. And that's what she did, working at it from the angle of why society needs men involved in care and why families need men involved in care. And she had all of the statistics and the charts and the graphs and just all the really cool geeky stuff that I love. And really, it was a very interactive presentation.
She great.
Almost immediately said, if you have questions, you have something you want to say, if you see something on the screen that, you need more explanation on. And it really got into involving the dads who are a bit more critical thinkers. That are a bit more, okay, so these statistics say this. Well, what was the control group, or who did we poll for that? Or where did we get that information? Or what does the census mean when it says this? And it was really, every time that they asked a question, she was able to explain and answer it, and did very, very well doing it. But it continued to advance the reality of how valuable men are in care in the family.
That's awesome.
I loved it. She did an excellent, and I never even got to talk to her, actually. I don't know if she left soon after, but I didn't even get a chance to shake her hand or anything. And I didn't see her again for the rest of the convention. So maybe she went home immediately or had something else to do, but it was wonderful.
That's
and I have to send her an email too. I haven't sent her a thank you email yet, but I'm sure the organization did. So
they were good about that. Definitely. So once that ended, then kind of the day kind of like opened up into a little more free flowing things that weren't presentation wise. Going and to drink Wisconsin, which I won't get into the fight about the old fashions again. But it was fun to go to because I showed up there and the guys from Turf Valley were there. And so that was really cool because they were doing like, it wasn't anything that was like super, like it almost seemed like they were just like shooting some like B film or something for the episode. Because Vince was there, as Tyler, and he was hanging out with Mick and me and a bunch of the guys around the bar, and we were trying to get him up to the bar to get him a drink and stuff. And Adam's like, they have like the bar had a sort of like walk-up window. And so Adam's like hanging through, like he's like leaning through that, taking pictures and video of us interacting with him. And it was hilarious how that was all working out. But it was just fun to be there and have a drink with them and hang out for a little while. And then the nice part with it only being like a couple blocks away from the hotel was that, afterwards, like everybody could walk back and get ready for the group photo, which is always just like herding cats. But we made it work, and it looks like they turned out really well. And
the videos we have, the little reels and TikToks that we have, of everybody getting together is just fantastic. It's like, this is, and it's not hurting cats even, because they'll follow a can opener or something. It was hurting rabbits. It was rabbits who have no idea where they are, and they're just staring at each other like, what are we doing? And then once somebody says move, and like 50 people move up and like, no, move back down. And it was kidding. Great. It was perfect.
Well, and Sergio was
as chaotic as you want.
Yeah, Sergio was doing videos and making reels, and they were awesome to like watch. How he's got some magic, the magic touch when it comes to those. And to see all the guys standing on the stairwell. And I feel like this year was one of those years where like there was like a couple other conferences going on, which is not the norm when we go places. It's usually just us. But like to have a couple other other things going on at the same time, people were really like had lots of questions. You always saw people like asking and pointing and looking. And I know I had multiple conversations with people who I'd walk by and they're like, what is this HomeDadCon thing? And why are there all these guys here? And just to be able to be like, hey, we're here for a career development conference for stay-at-home dads. Like everybody was like, wow, that's cool. Like I didn't even know that existed. And you know, you get some people like, oh, well, my husband's a stay-at-home dad or whatever. Like,
yeah.
But even to talk to like, because one of them was a medical conference, and so I remember running into some of the folks from there, and they were like, "This is so great! Like, we need more of this." The one that I didn't really talk to anybody about was the dairy conference, because I was like, "Well, we don't really have anything to."
The bovine veterinarians. Come on, man.
Bovine veterinarians.
They were fun. They were fun.
They were fun. Yeah, it was nice to see cowboy hats and belt buckles. You know, the size of dinner plates around all over.
Yeah, those little boys came up, and I'm like, all right, now where are we? Because I thought we were in Wisconsin, and these guys got the full on, you know, like the sport coat matching the hat and the big old belt buckle.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, all right, I love you guys. You're my people, but I don't know if you belong here.
It was a great mixture of people, that's for sure. So, which was fun. Amazing. That's what makes it fun. So we had the group photo and then dinner up at the View rooftop, which man, what a view it is for real. Like that was so much fun to just walk around and just enjoy all the different like angles of the city. So that was a good time. Matt did a great job with the menu there as well, and also dealing with, you know, the hotel staff and all the ups and downs that come with hospitality and catering. Yay.
Food and beverage is definitely its own animal. So we're glad Matt's here. Stay, Matt. You got to take care of that for us.
Yeah, that's you all day, every day. Then they got the room for the night to do gaming, and so they were up there doing that. And the beer share was going on, and so there was a lot going on there. And it was a lot of fun. They were, you know, doing all kinds of auctions and stuff. Actually, the beer that I took with me to be auctioned off, they got a great price for it, actually. So I was super happy with that.
Good.
But yeah, so that
I put in for 3 different auctions.
Oh, you did the silent auctions? Yeah.
I only did one of them. I only won one of them. So
okay,
that was cool. But I will say that one of the ones I was bidding on went up to my limit basically, and I didn't have much of a limit because we were spending it all in the hotel and all that. And the other guy that was bidding on it saw that I had been bidding on it, and he actually got it and gave it to me.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Nice.
So I was and then I wanted there was a pen with a lighter in it, with a butane lighter in it. And I think, I don't know if you you remember the pictures Mick sent us, and Mick had put it in. This is some cigar stuff, and it was just in there. And I'm like, oh, I love that pen. That's a really cool looking pen. And he's like, well, it's got a lighter in it. I'm like, oh, it's amazing. And I couldn't find it. And I'm looking around trying to, I'm like, oh man, I wanted to bid on that. And I'm like, well, I guess I missed it. And no, they took it out and they gave it to me.
Oh,
so
nice.
They made it like, and I'm like, I've cried a lot. I cried a lot this weekend. It was so touching.
You make me cry while I smoke my cigar, you jerks.
Right? I'm like, I don't know what to do. And Mick was like, hey, I heard you're going to Germany. Take that pen. I mean, don't worry, buddy. I'm going to have it. I'm going to smoke a cigar with it for sure.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
One thing, and we can edit this out. Do you want to do Saturday as a separate episode? Because we're 45 minutes or so in already. Almost 50 minutes in.
We probably could, I guess.
Cut it here and do another one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so let's wrap this one up, and you can edit this out, and then we can just start again right now and do it quickly, because I know you don't have as much time. I know you want a nap too. I want a nap, so
good. So Friday ended up really well, and I think that we'll cut this for this episode, because we don't want to shorten up Saturday's conversation, because there's just as much to talk about. So we'll be back again real soon, and we'll talk about Saturday. So until then, y'all have a great one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.